Welcome back to a new video. In this one, I'm going to show you how you can find your very first wholesale supplier. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos, or maybe you actually run an Amazon wholesale business yourself, you're going to know that suppliers are the absolute lifeblood of an Amazon wholesale business. Having a good supplier can literally make or break an Amazon business. And so in this video, I'm going to dive in. I'm going to show you on my screen over the shoulder, step by step, how I would go about finding my first supplier if I was just getting started in Amazon wholesale. So as we get into it, if you guys are enjoying that content, make sure to just smash that like button. Helps out the channel more than you would know. And let's get right into the video. So for the online search method, what we're going to do is we're going to draw inspiration from other areas of our lives. We're going to check if the brands and the products that we find actually sell on Amazon and if they sell well. And if they are a good fit, we're going to then go and we're going to use our favorite tool that we all know about, the Google search engine. And we're going to actually go and find suppliers by searching up products and brands and then add them to our list for later. So some different and my favorite ways to do this would be to just have a look around your house and see what different items that you might actually have and utilize in your own home that are big brand names that we would all recognize. So in your kitchen, you can go look at things like paper towel, liquid soap, any cleaning supplies. In the pantry, you can go and look at any of the canned goods, grocery items, any boxed goods, anything in the pantry that has a big brand name that's very recognizable. That's a good idea as well. In the bathroom, you might look at makeup or different cosmetics, lotions and creams. All the big brand names are good there. In the garage, you might look at tools, power tools. Guys, the list is endless. So just look around and see where you might see some big brand names and see if they're going to be a good fit for Amazon and for your business. Today's video, I've picked a couple items and I just went to my desk and I found a Sharpie marker. So we're going to look up the Sharpie brand. And then I also went to my garage and I found a Ryobi drill. So I have Ryobi tools. So we're going to go ahead and use Ryobi as well. So I haven't looked at these up in advance for this video, but what we're going to do is we're going to discover together whether these would be a good fit to sell on Amazon. And then we're going to actually go out and find suppliers for these different brands that might be able to provide us some of these different products. Now, remember, huge disclaimer here, right? We're not looking for the exact item, right? So in this case, I would not go out and look specifically for this size of a red Sharpie marker and say that no other Sharpie or no other brand is going to work for me, right? We're just drawing inspiration. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go, but let's go ahead and dive into this method. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to head over to Amazon.com. And all we're going to do is just type in the brand names, right? So in this case, we type in Ryobi. And so what's going to happen and what you'll notice here is you're going to see this little prompt, this little pop-up. So this is actually that DS Amazon Quick View tool that I asked you to go and install. This is going to tell us a few different things and give us some key information about the products that we're currently looking at. So there's some criteria at this stage. Although we're not going to go full on product research, we're going to save that for later in the program. We do want to know what makes a product a good fit for our accelerated wholesale business. And so I'm going to break down some of those key factors. One of the big ones is going to be your BSR or best sellers rank. So what you'll remember about BSR is the lower the number, the more amount of sales that it ultimately makes. So whenever we're looking at the US marketplace, anything about 100 to 150,000 or less is going to be a product that we're going to want to pay attention to. Now that is a very loose, not a hard and fast rule, We're going to talk about specifics of BSRs and things like that once we get into doing product research. But know for now, if you can stay under that 100 to 150,000, that's going to be a good opportunity you're going to want to look at when assessing if a brand is a good fit. The next key thing we're going to want to notice is each product will tell you what types of sellers are actually selling on that listing. So the very first product we see is the Ryobi batteries. And so we can see that these are sold by Amazon. And then we can see that it's also being sold by 7+ FBA sellers. So whenever we see FBA sellers, those are going to be third-party sellers just like us. And that is a good thing. We want competition in this model. And we want to make sure that there's others already selling these products so that we know that it's a good fit for our business. So in the case of Ryobi, there is one product that is sold by Amazon, but as we can see, all the other products are sold by multiple FBA sellers. And so we want to see at least 2 to 3 different FBA sellers on the listing. That's going to tell us that it's probably not the brand selling the product themselves only. It's probably not a single authorized reseller, and we're going to be able to tell right away if it's Amazon or not, as shown by the little yellow sold by Amazon. So we're going to keep scrolling and taking a look to see a couple more items. As we can see, 9+ FBA, 8+ FBA, 4+, 10+. And so there's no maximum number of sellers that you want to compete with, right? The more the merrier, especially at this step of the game. This is just determining if this is a good brand and a good fit for our business. So Ryobi absolutely, without a doubt, has potential to be some good products for our Amazon business. So we're going to keep Ryobi in mind, and we're going to go and find some suppliers a little later in the video that we could potentially use for our own Amazon business. Next, we have Sharpie. So let's go ahead and let's just look up the Sharpie brand. And let's go and see exactly what's happening with Sharpie. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to pay attention to those ranks. We're going to want to see that it has good ranks. We're going to want to see if there are multiple FBA sellers on at least some of the items, not just all Amazon or not just one single FBA seller across the brand. We're going to run into plenty of brands like that. But if there's even any opportunity with a listing with multiple FBA sellers, it's worth digging in and seeing if we can find some suppliers for it. So as we go through, we see majority sold by Amazon, but we do see 1+ FBA seller, 2 FBA sellers. Here's a listing with just 1 FBA seller, so that's not ideal, but here's another 3+ FBA sellers, 4+ plus Amazon, 2+ plus Amazon, 4+ Amazon, 3 FBA sellers. And so while it's not always ideal to compete with Amazon, there are opportunities where you might compete against Amazon. Plus, we're actually seeing some listings that have no Amazon and do also have FBA sellers. So I'm going to say that this is also at least worth looking into, because it's not completely dominated by Amazon and it's not completely dominated by listings that are only 1 FBA seller, even though that is the case in some instances. So we're going to say that both of these brands are at least worth looking into a little bit deeper. So now that we know that, we have a couple brands in mind. You can start with 1 brand, maybe 2 brands. I wouldn't stretch out too much further. I just wanted to do a couple of brands to give us some options and really see how the process works on just more than 1 category and more than 1 product. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to open up a new tab and we're just going to go to Google. And so in Google, we're going to start to look for some suppliers that are going to be a good match for our business. Now, I want to take a second here and just talk directly to you. And I want to let you know that when you're looking for brands, the more specific and relevant you can be, the better quality suppliers you're going to find. The more relevant terms that you look for, higher quality of the results. What I mean by this is using terms that are going to directly lead us to wholesale suppliers, wholesalers, distributors, the different types of suppliers that are out there. Additionally, geography and location plays a big role into the results that come out of your Google searches. So for example, if you're located in the US, I would probably start with my state, maybe my city if it's a major city, and for sure the area around me. If, for example, you're located outside of the US, you can either pick something completely random and start searching. So if you're just getting into this for the first time, use your local area if you're located in the US. If you're located outside of the US, just pick a very popular area. I recommend places that are on the west or east coasts, as those are where a lot of ports are, and a lot of items and goods that we get and sell originate from other countries. So for this example, I'm going to use New Jersey, and then I'll probably also use like Southern California. So we're looking at a part of a state and then a full state, and we're going to see what we get for results. So hopping back over, we're just going to go to Google, and I'm going to just search Ryobi Wholesale Distributors NJ or New Jersey. So we're going to see what we can come up with. And so the key here, whenever we're looking for suppliers, is going to be to open up multiple tabs and look through multiple different websites. Things we want to avoid: we don't want to be on the brand's website themselves, as they usually just point you to retail directions. We don't want to be looking at retail sites. And then you're also going to see things like news articles, different directories, business articles, things like that. And so what we want to look for is the wholesale supplier. So this sometimes is a little bit of digging, a little bit of back and forth, but ultimately it's completely worth the time that you're going to spend. As well as you get better at this, you're going to pick up on different key things that are going to identify wholesalers themselves. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop in and let's just start taking a look. So the first one is an ad. Usually wholesalers, distributors won't run ads because they're working kind of business to business, but that could potentially still be a good insight. But I'm going to read into these before I click in. And if there's anything that's a red flag, we're going to just move on. If it even looks remotely interesting, we'll open up that tab and have a look a little bit deeper. So JB Tools, holiday savings, everyday low prices, right? Worldwide shipping. This really looks like a retailer to me, but I'll open up the tab and we'll go ahead and have a look afterwards. JLWholesale.com, wholesale Ryobi tool items. That is very convincing and saying all the right things for me. So that's very assuring. Queller Wholesale. We're going to pull that up, right? It could be absolutely a wholesaler. This looks like a news article, an acquisition of a company. So that looks like a news article. Supplyleader.com, buy wholesale products related to Ryobi. So yeah, we're probably going to look at that. Direct Tools Outlet. This does seem like a good opportunity as well. So we already have about 4 or 5 different tabs pulled up. But what I would do is, if I was going through this for my own business, I would go through at least the first page, open up a bunch, clear them out, keep the ones that are going to make sense for you. And then I'm going to continue and I'm going to go to pages 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If there's many more pages, I'm going to go through as many as feasible until you go through 1 or 2 pages that just have no leads. Then you can go ahead and you can move on. So for now, let's hop in and take a look at the results that we have. So we're just going to pop in here. As we can see, this is very traditionally looking like a retail site, right? There's prices right away. You can add items to a cart. They're talking about huge savings and sales to pull in customers. This is very clearly going to be a retail store, like I mentioned, so they're not going to be a great fit. Next, we're going to see Great Lakes Wholesale International. So as we can see, wholesale Ryobi tools. They have a minimum order quantity, which is much higher than what kind of your average retail customer would probably be spending. That's another good thing to see. It tells you to log in to view prices. So you actually need to go ahead and you need to get an account to even see the pricing. So that's another really strong sign that this is a good supplier. So this is one I'm probably going to keep and I'm going to add to my list. So we'll move on and then we'll go back and add wholesalers, distributors, etc. to our list at that point. whenever we've gone through a couple of these results. Now, next we have Queller Wholesale serving industrial distributors. We stock so you don't have to, for distributors only. So we are not distributors. We are absolutely going to be retailers at the end of the day. So this looks like they are selling to distributors who would then sell to things like contractors and stuff like that from a tool perspective. So I'm going to say that they're not a great fit, and I'm actually going to close out of this one. Supply leader, it took us right to the Ryobi wholesale section, and it's telling us to click for details. So this looks promising. Let's click in, have a look, request wholesale prices. Okay, so here we actually have to go in and we have to request a wholesale price, meaning we probably need an account. So again, this is another really great sign that this is a wholesale supplier. So let's go ahead and keep this one, and we're gonna go ahead and reach out to them in the future. Next, we're going to look at direct tools factory outlet. So again, this does look like a retail store. Let's scroll around and see what we can find here. I'm going to say that this is probably a retail store though. As we can see, prices are very clearly displayed. You can add them to a cart. They kind of have really good branding. Here you go, massive retail store. So again, another retail store, that's perfectly fine, but we're not going to spend our time here. So we actually did come out very quickly with 3 very solid leads for Ryobi that we could go and potentially open up accounts with and get access to their product lists. And so now that we're here, what we're going to do is we're going to record the information of these suppliers. And then once we get a good number, and you can look in the accountability blueprint, but we're going to suggest about 1 to 200 supplier leads that you get. The reason for this is there's going to be many suppliers that just aren't looking to do more business right now. There's going to be suppliers that just outright reject you for a sales application for various reasons. There's going to be lots of suppliers at the end of the day that will actually open up an account with you, but the pricing, the availability of products, etc., just doesn't work. And then you're going to be left with a handful of those suppliers you'll open up accounts with. They'll have products that you can make work with Amazon, and you're going to do business with for a long time. So this is absolutely a numbers game. But as we get through this, let's go ahead and see where the contact information is for this company and go from there. One tip is the bottom of most websites will have things like contact information, or it'll have an area that says things like about us, contact us, etc. And so here we have a lot of the information that we need. So let's go ahead and pop back to the website. We have 1 supplier. You can go ahead and close this out. We're done with that. Next, we're going to look for information for the next supplier. And so here's contact information, support@supplyleader.com. We're going to go ahead and we're going to record that. Email. Always see if you can find a phone number and an email. If you can't find either, that's fine, but you will obviously need one so that you can get a hold of them. So I'm just going to take a look around. We can go about us, see if we can find some information. Not a whole lot there, but we have an email. We have a way to get a hold of them. And so what we would do for Sharpie is we would come through and we would just go ahead and substitute Sharpie. And so we're going to go through, we're going to find multiple suppliers for Sharpie, and then we're going to continue going through until we have 1 to 200 different supplier leads. And so as you start to run out of leads, ultimately some tips and tricks on what you can do is you go through and you can switch up your search terms. Right? So move to different areas, keep the same brand, move from New Jersey to New York, right? You can go New York City, you can go large areas in New Jersey, you can go to Florida, you can go to all these different locations and states until you've exhausted that, right? Then from there, you can move on to a different brand, and then a different brand, and then a different brand. So it becomes very easy, very quickly to get dozens or upwards of 100 leads, probably in the span of a handful of hours. And especially as you start to do this and get more comfortable with it, there's going to be a considerable time difference from where you are now when you first do it to where you are when you get really good at this. I highly recommend each and every one that is watching this video to go through and do the online search method, as it is the easiest to get started today without any additional skills or knowledge and just watching this video. So let's pop back over. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at a couple from Sharpie, and let's get a couple suppliers under our belts for this brand as well. So this is an Amazon link. That's not going to be a good fit. This is Uline. So Uline is a supply company that's going to do like warehouse and office supplies. So while you may be able to buy things from Uline, likely the prices aren't fantastic, but you can absolutely open up an account and check them out yourself. Zorro.com, an endless assortment of items, easy to use site, free shipping over $50. That tells me pretty clearly that's probably a retail site. Sharpie, this is obviously their website. Thomas.net, Sharpie markers and marking equipment distributors. That's a very good sign of a quality supplier. Again, Sharpie's website. New York, they say that they're a Sharpie distributor. Let's look at that. Aeromark, Sharpie Aeromark Company LLC. In addition to Sharpie, we distribute a great variety of industrial marking pens. That sounds like a good lead. New York again, GL Wholesale. So this is the same wholesale company we were looking at for Ryobity. Let's check them out. SCN Industrial, authorized SCN Industrial. We can go ahead and take a look at that as well. BJ's is going to be a retail store, if I remember. Newell Brands, we can go ahead and take a look at Newell Brands. All right, so we have a number of different supplier tabs open. Let's go ahead and take a look at them. So it looks like this ThomasNet is more like a directory versus an actual supplier. So there may be some great suppliers listed here, but ultimately I want to look in this method at suppliers directly. So as we come here, let's have a look. Okay, this looks and sounds like either a retail store, right? Free shipping over $150, or some sort of directory. So probably not a good fit there. And so here, no real need for Sharpie. There is a need for Sharpie for industrial customers. So this absolutely could be a good fit, as this Aeromark company is located in New Jersey, and they have a number of these different markers available, and they're showing them. So I'm absolutely going to reach out to them and see if they are a good fit for us. GL Wholesale, we actually already have GL Wholesale on our list from Ryobi, so that's already done. SCN Industrial, more of what distributors need. So as we come in here, log in to access pricing, see availability, and place orders. So that is another great sign. We're going to go ahead and keep them on here. And Newell Brands, this looks like this might be maybe a parent company for Sharpie or something like that, but this is absolutely a brand website, not a distributor or wholesaler website. So that's fine. Two decent quality or good quality looking suppliers. Let's go ahead and let's jot them down on our list. So we'll grab a phone number. We will grab a email. We're going to go ahead and we're going to grab company information. And ultimately, we are going to write down SCN Industrial. There we go. And then let's go do Aeromark as well. So we can see on the top their information. Let's see if there's a better way that we can get that information. And just copy and paste it. So they have a contact us page. Let's check that out. There we go. So at this point, I would highly recommend that you go and you find 100 to 200 different supplier leads. Now, this doesn't have to be done via one method. We're going to go through a number of other methods that you can employ and use. But what I would say is go ahead and get these supplier leads first, then go and contact all of these suppliers. You're going to get in a good rhythm. You're going to get in a really good groove, and you're going to get going with all of these supplier leads. Then at that point, you can shift focus and get into another groove of actually reaching out to those suppliers. So that is exactly how I would go about finding my very first product if I was just starting the wholesale business for the first time. In fact, I still do this method to this day to find new suppliers. And this is one of about 4 different methods that we use in our business whenever we have to go out and find some more suppliers to use. Hope this was of value to you guys. If you are not already, please make sure that you are subscribed and hitting that little notification bell. This way you'll know every single time that I put out a new video that can help you in your Amazon journey. That's it for this one, guys. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Peace.